and you'll have to provide that information to the factory. The factory is not responsible for protecting you in a cross-border customs scenario. So yeah, keep in mind. So when thinking about trims, specifically about care labels, so garment trims are anything that stays on the garment when you wear it, like buttons, threads, the print, the labels, and zippers.
Okay.
Yeah. And do you need them or not? Depends on your design, right? You can go to the market and you can buy them in small quantities, like 100. But if you want a custom care label or a thread or a custom
or like
button,
some logo on the button,
yeah.
Okay.
Then you have to go to a factory that makes those trims, right? There's factories that make zippers and only zippers. There are factories that make buttons and only buttons. There are factories that make thread and only thread. And those factories have their MOQ, which usually is in the thousands.
Okay.
Right? So if you're doing like 50, 100 pieces of a garment, you're most likely going to be buying the trims from the local market. When you're first doing your sample and development, your design and development, always remember that the factories have a lot of spare trim laying around. They've got buttons, they've got zippers left over from previous orders. And if you use those and you're flexible, they appreciate that. Otherwise, they have to go out to the market and try to find what it is that you have in mind based on some verbal description.
Yes.
Yeah. But just to kind of help speed things up, just to get the first samples done.
Cool.
And then the last thing to say about trims, specifically the care label. If you're exporting, if you're doing a cross-border business, you've got to really pay close attention to your care label because every country has different requirements. For example, in America, you have to have what's called an RN number. It means registration number. And it's also like your manufacturer's number. And that's a way for anybody in the US to look up who made that garment in the US. And you also have to have like made in Vietnam, country of origin, and you also have to have the composition. So 95% polyester, 5% spandex.
Okay.
And the EU, for example, they have their own regulations. And you'll have to provide that information to the factory. The factory is not responsible for protecting you in a cross-border customs scenario. So yeah, keep in mind. So when thinking about trims, specifically about care labels.
Got you.
And if in your case, if you're just producing in Vietnam and selling in Vietnam, it's not as much of an issue, especially when you're doing like 20 pieces and you're just selling to your family, friends, and clients. Like in a cash transaction, nobody's going to come and the Vietnamese government's not going to start going around and asking, hey, who made that shirt? Where was it made? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's more for export.
Got you.
Yeah, so just have that in mind for when you take your brand back to your hometown, South Africa, for example.
Sure. Okay.